Hello everyone and welcome to a special edition of the Christian Recorder Dialogues, recorded all the way in Monrovia, Liberia. As you know, the AME churches have schools all over the world, and AME University, which is where I currently am right now, is the largest AME school with approximately 8,000 students. Due to various issues that we're all aware of in the United States with visas, the president of AMEU could not be at General Board to give his annual report. So we said, well, we'll just bring the president to the General Board through this camera. So we are delighted to be here today with Reverend Alvin Attah, the president of AME University. Welcome to the Christian Recorder Dialogue, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Thomas, and thank you, members of the AME Church, the entire Connectional Church, to all our bishops, our general officers, our lay leaders, connectional leaders. I greet you all in the name of African Methodism, and particularly I bring you greetings from Bishop Paul G.M. Kawembe, the chairperson of the Board of Trustees of the AME University, and the entire AME University family. All our students and faculties extend their greetings.
Now, by the time you've seen this and throughout this broadcast, you'll be seeing some photos and video from AME University. We've been here for the past few days observing the campus, and one of the things, again, like I said, AMEU is the largest school that the AME Church sponsors, and it was founded in 1995 by Bishop Cornell Garnett Henney. So, Reverend Attah, before we begin, I'd like to talk a little bit about, so tell us about you and how you got here to be the president of AME University.
Well, my joining with AME University started in 2012 when I was appointed as a member of the Board of Trustees. And then I resigned from the board in 2018 due to personal and family reasons. And then in 2019, I was invited to come and sit in as the Associate Vice President for administration, but there was a gap in leadership, and I stayed there for about a year. And thereafter, through a competitive process, I applied, we went through the interviews and all of that, and I got selected as the president of the AME University. First as interim president for 1 year, and then thereafter as the president of AME University in 2021. And since then, I'm holding on and I'm doing my very best to keep AME University alive, up and doing.
Amen. And you probably, by the time this airs, you will have seen that Reverend Attah was just appointed by the Board of Trustees for a second term. So congratulations to you, sir, for that.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
So, while we're here, let's take a step back in time. First of all, you are the Reverend Alvin Attah, and I know you've had a distinguished career as a clergyman, but you've also done more than just being clergy. So tell us about what your career has been outside, within the pastor and outside the pastorate.
Well, it's been quite interesting. I had some time to work in the public service here in Liberia as the Deputy National Authorizing Officer at the Ministry of Planning and Economic Affairs at the time it was in existence, and thereafter as the Assistant Minister for External Relations and Debt Management, managing national debts at the Ministry of Finance and Development Planning, and thereafter the President of Liberia elevated me to the position of Deputy Minister for Economic Management. And I resigned early January 2018. Early January 2018. And then by 2019, I joined the AME University. But somewhere in between, I spent about 8 to 9 years working with the European Union as a monitoring evaluation specialist, and then as a head of programs here at the EU delegation in Monrovia.
And while you were doing most of all of that, you pastored, what I think we talked about was 4 churches. You started your ministerial career, I believe it was 2005,
yes,
right? And so you pastored, tell us about that. You were joking from the bush to the town.
I began at the Little Green AME Church in one of the rural areas in Monrovia County. It's quite a hard to reach area, but we got there, and we got there regularly. And then we moved on to the Morris Brown AME Church in Royceville, Monrovia County, and then the Gita AME Church. And then finally we ended up at the Eliza Turner Memorial AME Church, which is the largest AME Church in the 14th Episcopal District. We stayed there for about 14 years.
Okay.
So basically, I spend more time at my work during, work days, Monday to Fridays. I will always carve out 1 or 2 hours after working hours to rush to attend the church work, and my weekends were all dedicated to church work. I can say I never had a holiday for 18 to 20 years, because whenever I had my annual leave, there was a time for holiday. We used that time. I found that I used that time to concentrate on the church, developing the church.
Wow.
Since we had the multitask, managing our time between public service and our call service, call to ministry.
Wow. So, and now you're serving the church in this capacity as the president of AME University. So I just want to paint this picture for you. When you drive up to AMEU, we're on Camp Johnson Road.
Yeah.
Camp Johnson Road, you drive past the UN Office of Liberia, the Executive Mansion, the House, the capital of Liberia, the Capitol building that has the House and the Senate. And this school is all the way down the road. So literally it is the primary thoroughfare for the government of Liberia. When you turn to the right, you see this lovely green and white sign that says AME University, and you see the Adams Manning Bell Hall. So, which is where we are right now, which is the primary administrative building. Yeah. So tell us about AMEU. I see the founder, we talked about 1995 and Henning, but just walk us a little bit through about AMEU and how special it is to Monrovia and Liberia.
AMEU, as you did say, you had mentioned it was birthed out of the ideas of Bishop Henning in 1995. AMEU has come a long way in touching the lives of not just the people of Liberia, but the people of West Africa. AME University have had its own difficulties. The terrain has not been so smooth, but we've navigated through. I remembered there were times where the administrators were sitting on blocks, on bricks, and they were, just writing with, there were no decks or anything. Student population was relatively low. But one thing we've done over the years is just to keep focused, keep our heads up. Go for excellence, go for the best. And today we are where we are, thanks to the several leaderships of the several bishops that have served, and now we're serving under the leadership of Bishop Paul J. Kawemi. AME University has produced close to, I think, 60 to 75,000 graduates over the years. They're all over Liberia in the public sector and in the private sector. In fact, we have banks, we have multinational companies, we have international organizations, we have the government of Liberia coming every now and then and taking our good and our best employees from us. Fitting in, the Minister of Public Works, the special advisor, the senior advisor to the President of Liberia, the President's press secretary, they're all around AME University. Managing directors and several public entities and so on. They're all from AME University. And we're so proud to have our alumni scattered all around government and also in the private sectors. And then when you move to countries like Sierra Leone and Ghana, you find them also there.
Wow.
That's wonderful, because AME University at some point in time opened its doors to receive students from other countries. And so we have students coming in from Sierra Leone, from Nigeria, from Togo, from Benin, and as far as Zambia. Zambia is in the 17th Episcopal District. These are all young AME people coming in, getting trained, and then they go back to their countries to help to build the churches there.
So how many students does AMEU have right now?
Right now we have, as a last semester, because we're on, the registration process is on right now, as a last semester, we have roughly about 8,156 students.
Wow. And tell us about the different academic programs here.
We have programs in 3 categories. We have a Center for Professional Development. That center runs short-term programs for professionals in public and private sectors who will need some refreshing and so on. They come and spend 4 months, 6 months, get refreshed, get their skills sharpened, and then they go back to work. We also have the undergraduate school that has about 28 degrees awarding departments.
Wow.
And they're all in 6 different colleges, right? That's the bulk of our student population.
Yeah.
And then we have the School of Graduate Studies that has about 6 programs. There's a program that offers MDiv, right? We have a program in public and corporate finance. We have a program in procurement and supply chain management. We also have a program in international development, a program in foreign service leadership, and recently we started a program in environmental science.
And I know one of the funny things that happened when we were here, the previous dean of the graduate program was actually a professor of mine from Morehouse College, who the government picked up and is now working as senior advisor, Dr. Augustine Kone. But one of the things that I noticed just being here in a short time is that literally going down the street, and when we visited the executive mansion to see Dr. Kone, everywhere we went, there were AMEU students, there were AMEU alumni. And I think one of the things you also said was that literally in Liberia, the AME Church can educate you from your birth up until your graduate degree.
We have a small circle right here. And then we have the Frank Madison Reed Junior Elementary School that you can get in there from kindergarten up to 9th grade. And then matriculated to Monrovia College. Monrovia College was established in 1922. You can finish up high school there, 10, 11, 12 grades, and then you can switch over to AME University, get your bachelor's degree, and go on to graduate school, all within this circle in the hands of AMEs.
And again, the AME Church has sponsored and does this. And for those of you watching, if you look at the general budget, you've probably seen in the general budget a line item for Monrovia College, a line item for AME University, a line item for Jordan Agricultural School, which we'll talk about in a second. These are financed by the general budget. We give money for this. And also, I know one concern that happened at the last general board was that we noticed that AMEU, even though it is the school that has the largest number of students, received less money than our other 4 institutions of higher education and our seminaries because it's in Africa. Would you mind telling those of us watching what the legal tender is in Liberia?
The legal tender, we have the Liberian dollars and we have the United States dollars.
So I want y'all to hear me, that when you walk in Liberia, you can spend the US dollar because it's legal tender, which means a lot of these bills are in dollars. So for those of y'all watching, when we come to our next budgetary cycle, we just want you to remember these numbers. 8,000 students, Liberia, and they charge you in US dollars. So just someone out there needs to hear that. But just the amazing environment here and being on campus, these buildings, and for those of you watching, you will have already seen some of this in the broadcast, just the pride that you see when you come here and see the AMEs did this. Be all around campus, monuments to AMEs who've been here, the bishops, the lay leaders. It's phenomenal. I mean, you can just sense the pride of this, not only our church, but the pride of what the AME Church has meant to Liberia.
Well, John, the AME Church has played a significant role through the AME University in developing adequate and proper human resource for the government of Liberia, and by extension, a few other, governments within West Africa. So everywhere you go, as you said, AME University alumni, and they're so proud to be a part of AME University. I am particularly proud to be leading this institution at this time, thanks to the church, thanks to the board of trustees, thanks to all the bishops that saw me welcome to be here, including Bishop Kawembe. But AME Church has done extremely well and continues to do extremely well in building and strengthening the human resource capacity of Liberia.
And while we were here, we took a trip out to Royceville, and we'll talk a little bit about the plan and where the university is going, because one of the things that you impressed upon us was that, I see things and they need to see what I see. So when we went out to Royceville, you took us by the Jordan Agricultural College. Can you tell us a little bit about the plan for the Jordan Agricultural School and what that will do for this university?
Now let me take you back a little bit. AME University has as its main academic building the Hatcher Hall.
Yes.
The Hatcher Hall was built by American taxpayers' money, up to $1.6 million. That was, raised by Bishop Daniels when he was here as a bishop.
For those of y'all wondering what USAID may have done, there's a photo of the USAID logo on Hatcher Hall.
On the Hatcher Hall.
Continue.
That building was meant to accommodate about 6,000 students. We now have a little over 8,000 students. Obviously, The building is overcrowded.
Yes.
We had to then convert some offices into classrooms by merging offices together and creating more space. We had to use our conference rooms, including my conference room, as classroom space to accommodate that. But AME University continues to grow in terms of students population. So the next step of what do we do with the influx of students that keeps coming? We cannot stop that. We're one of the best in Liberia. We give them a quality education. Then the thought came, and we ran it by Bishop Kawembe, and he approved it, along with the Board of Trustees, that we could go over to the Jordan Agricultural Institute, all right, that has about 272 acres of land, less than 10 acres is being used. The rest are there.
Wow.
Move in there and see how best we can move some of our academic programs there. We have been able to move there the College of Agriculture. We've also been able to establish at the Jordan Agricultural Institute our permanent graduation site. Before then, we were paying about $7,500 US dollars to the government to use public facilities for our graduation ceremonies. Now, if you have $7,500 US dollars being used every year over a period of 10 years, that's $75,000.
You could have already just
We could have done something. So we had to take the bold decision to move over to Roswell and establish our own site there. It's not completed, all right? But we started small and we keep growing and growing, improving on it. We have the permanent site there. And then we're also working on the dormitories for students. The classrooms are there already. And the agricultural students are going there every now and then for the practical work. It's just amazing. It's a wonderful place to be. Of course, you saw the palm farm.
Yes.
Palm farm, about 15, 20 acres, already cultivated with palm trees that are already producing. So there are a lot of prospects at our second campus in Roysville.
And just to be clear, again, the AME Church is not paying anyone for this land. We own this land.
Yes, we own this land.
And the fact that in this country with all these resources, we talk about sustainable development, we talk about biodiversity, we literally are at the forefront of that in Roysville. Yeah. And I know for those of you who are watching this that one of the projects that you want to share with the General Church is about helping to get students there by vehicles. So tell us a little bit about that.
Yes, since we don't have the dormitories established yet, all right, we were hoping to get at least 2 vehicles, preferably one bus, maybe 32, 36 seater bus, and a pickup truck to be able to commute students from Monrovia to Roysville on a daily basis. It's about 17 miles distance.
On some roads that are very interesting.
Very interesting, very rugged roads, yeah. But that's the major challenge we face now. How do we get, these vehicles, a pickup truck at least, and a bus to commute students to and fro.
So how much are you looking to raise for this?
I haven't gotten the actual estimate from my finance team, but I assume it's between something within the neighborhood of $75,000.
So for those of y'all watching, AMEU is beginning to do a drive, reaching out to corporate sponsors as well as members just like you to support this institution by helping get students from the main campus to the new campus. Yeah. I know John Green and Missions is helping out as well. So those of you who are watching, be sure, we'll put it in the email that you received to get this, about how you can contact AME University. But you're doing more than that. You have this amazing strategic plan that I know you would have shared at the General Board if you could have made it. But tell us a little bit about some of the highlights for what you want to do over these next 3 years, for 2024 to 2027.
We want to ensure that AME University remains one of the top tier tertiary institutions in Liberia. And as much as we can, we're not going to be looking across our shoulders who's coming, who's there, because there's no competition.
And let's just say, I want to put a pin in that, because there is the United Methodist University here, there's the AME Zion University here, but the AME University is like the leading university. Just want to put that in there.
Yeah, there are several other faith-based universities here, but we just want to remain focused.
Yes.
Keep focused. Keep moving to the point of excellence.
Yes.
Our motto is in pursuit of excellence. Yes. And we just want to keep going that way. Doing our best, our very best, getting the best, training the best, and producing the best. So our strategic plan was designed with that motion. all right? So we have mapped out several goals that we want different divisions to achieve within the short term, medium term, and then long term, especially when it comes to infrastructure and academics. We need to improve on our science laboratories, right? We need to improve on the, our Center for Disabilities, because we've been able to accommodate a number of students that are disabled, including those who are visually impaired.
Wow.
And I must say, through the help of the Rotary Club, the Lions Club of Monrovia and USAID, we've been able to establish the only center,
wow,
where visually impaired kids can come over and get tertiary education in Liberia.
wow.
So what happens is that we have folks who are visually impaired from other institutions, high schools and other non-governmental institutions. They're bringing their work over to AME University for a small fee. We have the blow machines and so on. We have the trainers that are there, and they will transcribe everything, and then we can go back with their work. We're also thinking about introducing the Brailles in our curriculum. But one of the things that we do have our strength in now is opening our arms to those who are muted, what we call the deaf and dumb students. We have successfully trained one of them, Lovetta. We use her as a case study.
Wow.
She's now a trained accountant. She works with EcoBank Liberia now. Though she's deaf and dumb, she's muted. And she's been able to bring 6 other students.
Wow.
After she brought in 6 other students, one of the students, a female, went and brought in 4 other female students. So we have about 10 of them. And we have about 16 visually impaired students, all within our Department of Disabilities. What we have done is to have them learn with every other student in the classroom, mix up with every other student, do sports with every other student, despite their limitations. And we've trained them to accept those limitations as something natural, and not to see themselves as being excluded from society. And when you see them on campus, you might not even know them, except you see the visually impaired walking with their canes, all right? So we've been able to open our arms to them. We've been able to accommodate them. And many thanks to Supervisor Henny. When she visited Liberia a couple of years ago, she gave us the first $1,000 United States dollars as a seed money to establish our Department for Disabilities. And it's working very, very well.
Wow. So just think about it. You are at the forefront of accessibility education. You are looking at working on biodiversity at Jordan. We're working on equipping the labs to see the students. There's so much going on at AME University. I know another part of the plan is you want to expand into different parts of Liberia as well.
Sure.
So it is just phenomenal to see the plan, the vision, and you've done a lot in your first term, and we expect you'll do a whole lot more in your second term.
By God's grace, through your prayers and everyone's support, we were able to increase enrollment by about 46%. That triggered the increase in our budget for about 32%. We've been able to, and I mean, we are the first institution in Liberia now that has started a professional program where financial practitioners can now be trained for global recognition, globally recognized certifications like the ACCA, the CIA, Certified Internal Auditors, the Certified Fraud Examiners.
Wow.
They're now being trained at AME University, and AME University is a certified testing center. So they come here to get trained, they do their test right here, then when they pass, they're awarded their professional certification.
And I just want to put this into perspective for you all at home. Liberia, as many of us know, was the site of 2 brutal civil wars.
Yeah.
For basically throughout the mid-90s up until the 2000s. In fact, when we went to the museum, we literally saw the car of one of the presidents, the bulletproof car that the man drove in. And to think that the AME Church is engaged at the forefront of not only rehabilitating the society, but helping Liberia to prosper. Whatever this country does in the next 10 to 15 years will be because AMEs led the way through AME University.
Yeah. And John, I always say this. I had terrible experience during the Civil War. And then I went through the Ebola crisis that killed thousands of people, and through the recent, COVID epidemic. But I was born as an AME, right here in Liberia. I grew up as an AME right here in Liberia. I serve as an AME right here in Liberia, going through all this period of crisis. And I'm glad, through the grace of God, that I can be positioned now at an AME institution to help prepare the younger generation for worldwide leadership. And my story is one that should motivate them. That look, this is home for us. We just got to make this place better. We just got to do ministry well. And the ministry is not just standing on the pulpit and preaching, touching lives of all the people and preparing them to fit properly in society and in the church. And that's what we're doing. That was the vision of Bishop Henry. That was the vision of Bishop Henry McMill Turner. And I'm happy that I'm positioned now to continue running with that vision. Many thanks to the Board of Trustees led by Bishop Paul G. Kawembe.
Yeah. I have a feeling that, the Lord isn't quite done with what you will do for the AME Church of Liberia yet at this AME University. But I'm sure that there are other things that might happen in your life that you can serve the church in different ways. Before we go, I just want to hit a few numbers for our members. How many faculty are here at AME University?
When I last checked the number, we have about 419 full-time employees, and we have about more than 700 adjunct faculty.
What's the annual budget of AME University?
Our annual budget now is about $4.5 million US.
So let me just make this clear for y'all listening. This brother right here supervises the largest private institution of higher education in Liberia with 8,000 students, with a $4 million budget, with 400 employees under him. Wow.
I made the budget at 3.2 million. We've grown it to 4.5 million. All by the grace of God.
Amen.
Having a good team in place, having good leadership in place, having good guidance, and we're moving.
Well, we've got to wrap up. There are a few more things we need to see in Liberia. But before we go, just a few final words for those who are listening to this broadcast.
Well, this is AME University. Just in case you've not heard of us, you've heard of us now. And we invite you over to Liberia whenever you can. Come and see what we're doing here. It's amazing what God is doing here in the 14th Episcopal District in West Africa. It's a place to see, and you will be impressed. We're available to serve. We'll make ourselves available to the church to continue to serve in different institutions in different capacities. Right? Keep us in your prayers. Keep us in your prayers. Continue to give us your support if you can. And we look up to God for more grace and more things that we can do.
Yeah.
As I said, we're just available to serve in whatever capacity.
And for those of you all listening, again, we especially need to pray for the visa situation, because it is a disgrace and a shame that this man, with all of these accolades, was denied a visa to come give his report, which is why we're here to bring the report to you. So we ask you to pray for the university, to pray for justice, to pray for the AME Church, to pray for Reverend Attah. Reverend Attah, again, we know God has not proven for you yet.
But the visa situation has not stopped us from serving.
That's right.
Visas or no visas, traveling or no traveling, gender board or no gender board, we will continue to serve God's church and serve humanity.
Amen. Thank you all for watching, and we'll see you next time in another edition of the Christian Recorder Dialogues.
Thank you, John.
Thank you, sir.